I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I probably will continue to do it. But it's not a mistake if you've learned from it and you've developed yourself. It's the only way you're going to get better is to make mistakes and embrace them, fix them, learn from it, move on. The moment you stop, and my view is anyway, the moment you stop and cry over spilt milk and beat yourself up on a mistake or something that's gone wrong is when you're going to stop developing.
Hello everybody and welcome to Running from Comfort. Today's show, our guest is Rex Afrasiabi. Now Rex is the principal of a law firm called MA Legal, and as you'll hear from the beginning of today's conversation, he is the reason why I originally moved to Melbourne from the small little hometown of Hobart. Now Rex has a lot of interesting insight, not just about business, but about life in general. Rex is somebody who has seen success in his life. He's somebody who runs a law firm, he has various other ventures, and he also runs his own charity, which we talk about towards the end of the podcast. But what I think we can learn from Rex today, more particularly, is the mindset that he's been able to use to achieve his success. And now some of the advice he gives may apply more to some people that are entrepreneurs in their own right or business owners, but even if you are not an entrepreneur, I encourage you to listen to today's show because a lot of the advice that he does give is applicable if you take the context of what he's saying and apply it to whatever else you're doing in your life. As well as that, this is just a great lighthearted chat and we get stuck into some interesting topics. So look, I hope you enjoyed today's show, and if you do not forget to give this a rating and a review. Please subscribe to the show if you want to hear more. And finally, if you are listening on your smartphone, take a screenshot of you listening to your smartphone and upload that to your Instagram page and tag me out at Gulliways_take, and also tag out at MA Legal. Let them know that you are listening to today's show. All right, I hope you all enjoy. Let's get to it. Okay, and we are live. So welcome to Running from Comfort. Today is a very special episode. I have the man who gave me the opportunity to move to Melbourne. He took me out of my little quiet home in Hobart where I was sitting there living nice and comfortably, playing far too many video games, and brought me to the big city. So Rex, welcome. How are we today?
Well, I didn't realize I've done that for you.
Hey, no, really. So, I'll just talk briefly because I don't want to talk too much about myself, but part of my mindset was coming out of law school was I wanted to be a lawyer in Hobart. I wanted to be close to my family, my friends.
And I ruined that.
No. But, and then the other thing I was doing, probably playing too many video games, I said before, was wasting probably too much of my time. And the weird thing was, a couple of weeks before the opportunity arose, I had this random thought in my brain, like, you're going to move to Melbourne. I was like, what? And then 2 weeks later, I get the email. You're like, hey, do you want some work experience? And I was like, oh, what?
Fair enough.
And
it worked out well.
A year.
Hope you're enjoying Melbourne.
I am. No, I'm absolutely loving it. I'm really liking it. Every day is like a new adventure. Every day feels like it's full of different opportunities, and I'm so grateful for that opportunity. So thank you.
Our pleasure. There's a lot to see in Melbourne.
Oh, there's plenty to see. So Rex, why don't you start? Tell a little bit about yourself and what exactly it is that you do.
I do a lot of things. My name is Rex Afrasiabi. I'm the founder and principal of MA Legal, one of the principals of MA Legal. Mid-sized law firm, about 20 people. We predominantly a business law firm. So we do business, commercial, property, litigation, and family law, and some estate planning that comes from that. From there, personally, I've got various other ventures and interests in other businesses and developments and stuff like that. And that's about me in a nutshell.
Yeah, and so tell us a little bit about your journey. So, because I believe, when did you start this law firm again? How old were you?
The law firm is 10 years old. Prior to the law firm, I worked at various other law firms, small to mid-sized law firms. The last law firm I worked at was a firm in South Yarra. Great firm, great principal there. He represents 3 people in the BIW Rich 100 list, so it was really nice, boutique, very high-end work. At the time, I was single. They shared, in the same building was a fashion company called Blur Optics. They do all the, I'm not sure if they still do them, but they used to do at that time, all the optical sunglasses and optical designs, manufacture and production for some of Australia's largest fashion brands, such as Sass & Bide, C. Foley, Akira, some other brands that they had. Friday night drinks turned into a job offer for them. So, and an Audi TT convertible at the time, which was a great car at the time, as my signing bonus. Yeah, so
nice bonus.
It was a good bonus. So that started that journey. So I left law briefly and joined them as a general manager / legal counsel. From there, we took over manufacturing, a lot of trips around the world for fashion shows and stuff. So both optical events, as exhibitions, as well as fashion exhibitions for SAS and for Bide and things like that. Great experience, great travel. If you're single and you're going to all these events, it's kind of fun as well. It burns you out to some extent though, because everyone says, oh yeah, traveling is great for work, especially going to all these, New York for Fashion Week or something like that. Sounds great, and it is. But you go there, you land, you're jet lagged, you work long hours, because during the day you're at exhibitions, at night you're at dinners and then parties or whatever the case may be. And then you're up again the next day, you do it again. Fly back to Melbourne, still jet lagged, and any work and emails you've had for the last week that you missed are still there for you when you get back, and you're just chasing your tail trying to catch up, and by the time you catch up, you're off again to another event.
Just quickly, was there anything you did in order to get yourself back in the working zone from that burnout?
You just keep pushing through. So yeah, you just keep working through. A lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee.
I do remember you like your coffee.
I do. I'm sitting here for a large one in front of me now. A lot of coffee and a lot of working through weekends, working at night. You keep working through. Work needs to get done. Just because you've been away for a week doesn't mean it stops or someone else does it for you. When you get to a certain level, you're the last person that has to prove stuff or do stuff. So it just keeps going.
And how many hours a week on average would you say you're working?
I don't even know where to start. Depends on what you define as work. So most things I try to do myself, I don't define as work. Even now till today, I don't define what I do as work. So I enjoy it. So if I'm out with dinners and parties and stuff, yeah, some people might classify it as work because it's with clients or what have you. I don't. So for me, it's a big blur, but when people complain about 40 hours a week sometimes, I laugh at that.
Yeah, it's 40 hours a week is quite manageable, but I guess what you're essentially saying is you loved what you did, so in that way it didn't necessarily feel like work, is that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And same, till today. I won't do anything I don't enjoy or feels like work.
Okay, interesting. So then what made you decide to come back into law?
Come back into law? I had a lot of choices when I was coming back to law. My brother-in-law was a partner at a big law firm, and I could have gone to a bigger law firm or other law firms. So I've never burnt a bridge. So I had a lot of options in my hands. For some reason, I decided to set up my own law firm back then, and that's where MA Legal was born.
Why did you choose to start your own firm over joining a bigger firm? Was there any reason behind that, or?
I don't, and look, I've still got a lot of friends who are partners at the big firms. My personal view is, depends on the firm. I didn't like the politics necessarily.
Okay, so you decided to, I suppose, make your own firm so you could create your own environment. Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you create look, hindsight's a great thing, and I don't regret what I've done. But by doing that, I've not only created my own environment, but I've created my own opportunities outside of law as well, where if you're at a bigger firm, you may have more restrictions on that.
Yeah, so, and getting to that, I remember one of the first conversations you had in your office when I came to Melbourne, you were telling me about success, and something you said to me that really resonated with me was this idea. You said, use law as your bread and butter, and then use that as to take your opportunities into ventures and other things that you're interested in, you're passionate about, your hobbies. So can you tell me sort of like a bit about that and what other ventures you've gotten yourself into?
Look, I say that to not just lawyers, but also to anyone that owns a business. A business is great. It can provide you phenomenal cash flow. It does give you wealth and all that stuff, but real wealth cannot necessarily be created by a business, and it's always good to diversify some of your risks. So in the past until today, I still do my developments, I do other businesses, I've got interests in other businesses as well, not just to diversify my risk, but also it gives you an opportunity to get involved in another business. If you've got the right partners in another business, it's fantastic because you can work out an arrangement where they can do the day-to-day or be manage the day-to-day for you. You've still got an interest in it, and you've got your own responsibilities to that business. And from that, you can create wealth. You can multiply your wealth factors. So highly recommend it to anyone, because having a business can be, and it is, great cash flow. Depends on the business, but most of the time it is. But just being stagnant and not exploring other opportunities is probably what a lot of people do and don't push themselves or don't want to take the risk. It doesn't have to be risky, it can be calculated, and it doesn't mean you jump into the first venture, but by having your eyes open to other ventures, when the right one comes along, you want to jump on it. Most people are a bit scared, I find. They don't want to venture into another business. It's easy for me to say because I'm a lawyer, but because I know how to get myself in and out of stuff, and I don't have that as much fear, I suppose, but doesn't mean anyone can't do it. And just having your eyes open to it. And look, there's a lot of ventures that I come across my desk on a weekly basis that I don't jump into, but there are a few of them that have been fantastic and would highly recommend.
Yeah. And out of those, do any of them kind of like align with your outside of interests and hobbies?
Not really. My outside interest and hobbies requires, I call it active meditation. So anything that blocks out the world for me. For me, that's racing motorcycles around a track or racing cars around a track, anything that goes fast, or boxing. And not just hitting pads, but like more sparring. If you're inside a ring with a guy and you're trying to hit each other, you kind of block out the world. Or if you're going around a Phillip Island at 200 kilometers an hour, you kind of block out the world, because if you don't, you're going to hurt yourself pretty seriously.
Okay, I don't know which one to ask you about first, but in terms of boxing, have you actually, so you said sparring, but have you actually taken part in a fight at an amateur level or pro level at all?
I've had 3 fights set up. Once I was tore a calf muscle. The second one I had a child and pulled out. I was supposed to do one this year as well. It's not ruled out, but it's on my to-do list, and I will do it. I just when life permits, I suppose.
Yeah, and
because you've got to block out at least 8 weeks of your life and just focus on that.
Yeah. Just the fight, yeah.
Yeah, training, running, the whole lot.
Is there anything particular that draws you to boxing, or?
I've always been a martial arts fan and a boxing fan. At the start of my martial arts journey, not that it's much of a journey, I did start wanting to do mixed martial arts, and I was doing kickboxing, jiu-jitsu and the like. It was just too much to take in when you try to take all of it in, and jiu-jitsu by itself is so consuming and takes so long to develop any sort of skill set that I found boxing to be, I don't want to say easier, because definitely not easier, but it's at least 2 hands and that's it, and some, so you don't have legs and groundwork and things like that.
Yeah, so there you go. If you ever stumble across Rex, he's not just a lawyer, so don't cross him wrong, he can throw down.
Hardly, but there.
And when it comes to the racing, so you said you're driving around Phillip Islands at 200 kilometres an hour, how frequently do you engage in the racing? I used to do it once a month, at least.
Since the birth of my child, it's really diminished to about a few times a year now. So I do it both on motorcycles and on cars. I've got a specific track car that I use for that. And I sold my, I've still got motorcycles, but my track bike I did sell, because a friend of mine late last year was riding and a bird flew into his chest. He's my best friend actually, and he was flown into Alfred Hospital and this and that. So as a result, all of us sold our our road bikes, our track bikes, I suppose, our sports bikes. Still got a Harley, still got my dirt bikes and stuff, but at the moment I don't have a race bike or a sports bike.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm going to Philippines in a few weeks for a track day, but we're just going to hire one of their bikes. And this is with the friend who was in intensive care for a week.
So he's made a good recovery then?
He's made a good recovery, and he's now getting back on the bike, literally.
He was not letting anything stop him. That's great, at least.
Yeah. So we've got a Phillip Island day penciled in for a few weeks.
And is there anything in particular in terms of the racing? Is there something about that you really enjoy? Is it something to do with, I think you said, blocking out the world? Or
active meditation. So it's, you do it, not just the heart is pumping, but your mind is just in that moment. It's until you've tried it, you can't really experience it. And especially, look, cars are great. Nothing beats being on a bike.
Yeah, and I think I've heard about this. Rupert Sheldick was on London Reels podcast. He was talking about how athletes get into like this zone of like meditation or like higher consciousness where it's like pure focus. So I think maybe that's kind of what you might be experiencing, which, I find that it's quite interesting. But yeah, so in terms of your career thus far, what are some of the challenges or challenging moments you've had, and how have you been able to overcome those?
The biggest challenges in anyone's career, especially as you get going, I suppose, to a higher level and you've got people to manage and expectations to fill, is people themselves. Managing people is probably the most difficult challenge any business owner or manager has. Everyone is different. To find the right balance to motivate them, get them to work and be productive is the challenge.
Yeah, so in terms of that, did you already have the people skills in place, or did you find yourself developing those types of skills over time?
Look, everyone's got their own management style, and I think that's from what they have in place. I don't think you can teach someone to perform in a certain way or act in a certain way. Inherently, they're going to have their own characteristics that's going to come out. So if for any managers, I'd always say just follow your instinct, but put yourself in the other person's shoe as well. I mean, if you don't want to be treated like that, don't treat them like that.
Yeah, so it's all about empathy at the end of the day, I suppose.
It is. And it's about teamwork as well. Just because you're a manager does not mean you're a boss of anyone, in my opinion. I think it should be a level playing field. It just means you've got more responsibilities and you've got to clean up the mess if something goes wrong.
Yeah, one of the quotes I heard recently was talking about being a manager or a boss, and it was Gary Vaynerchuk that said this. That's right. He said, when you're in a position where you're managing people, it's not that you now have people working for you. Like, you have 20 people working for you. It's you now work for 20 people. Would you agree with that statement, or?
Yeah, definitely. It is a team. For anything to work properly, in my opinion anyway, has to be a team. People don't come to work because of wages that's underlying factor, I suppose, but they're not going to be motivated because of money. And if you have your people there because of money, they're not the right people for you.
Yeah. So in terms of that, I suppose what you're saying is money is not like a good motivation in like any sense. Would you say that, or?
Look, money is, I suppose it's required, it's a lifestyle. But the motivation for myself has never been money. If my view is that if you focus on money, don't do it. There's got to be a passion, and money does not bring you passion.
Yeah, and in terms of passion, what is it that makes you passionate about law or what you do in the legal industry?
The legal industry is fantastic if you want to help people. It is also, look, there's various law firms that do various things, and I know a number of other principals that wouldn't necessarily agree with me, but genuinely, I do what I do and I love what I do because I genuinely feel like I help people. When anyone comes to our office, they've got not a problem, but an issue, a matter, and our way is to get to a solution in the most cost-effective way for them. And if you do that, they're going to be so happy that they'll always come back and they'll send their friends. And the moment you stop doing that, when you say, look, let's focus on myself, not the client, I think that's when you're going to lose.
Yeah. So for you, winning is all about helping the person, helping your client.
Yeah, it's the most rewarding thing in the world, though.
Yeah.
When someone's very happy for your result and thanks you and so grateful, nothing beats that.
No, nothing does. And I suppose I'd agree with you in the sense that when I first set out to study law, part of my motivation was, okay, I want to use whatever I think my skills are in a way that I can help other people. So that's what sent me on that path myself. So yeah. And it definitely is an industry where I think you can help people. I think sometimes lawyers maybe get slightly a bit of a bad reputation, or it's all about money.
Sometimes it's deserved. I know a few lawyers that deserve that reputation and then make the rest of the industry look bad too.
Yeah. Okay. So looking back on your career, I think you've maybe already addressed this, but I just want to make it clear. Did you have any regrets in your career at all, or?
I'm a unique individual in my mindset that I don't believe in regrets. Sounds weird, but I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I probably will continue to do it, but it's not a mistake if you've learned from it and you've developed yourself. It's the only way you're going to get better is to make mistakes and embrace them, fix them, learn from it, move on. The moment you stop, my view is anyway, the moment you stop and cry over spilt milk and beat yourself up a mistake or something that's gone wrong is when you're going to stop developing. So yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. Probably will continue to do it, but I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and I guess at the end of the day, failure breeds success. As you said, you can learn from mistakes. Now, I'm going to slightly put you on the spot here, but is there any mistake you can think of that that you got a great learning lesson from that maybe you could share? Or
look, mistakes happen. Many mistakes that I've done. What was the question? Sorry.
So my question was, do you have maybe a mistake or like a favorite mistake that you got a great lesson from in hindsight?
A favorite mistake? I don't know if I've got a favorite mistake. Going back to motorcycles, I went on the track one day at Phillip Island and my mind was, so Phillip Island, how it works is every hour you're on the track for 20 minutes and you take 40 minutes off to clear your mind. During that 40 minutes, I was on the phone with work, organising some sort of, I think it was a litigious matter. So there was a dispute. Jumped on the bike, not a clear mind. Second lap around, came off.
Ooh.
Hurt my shoulder relatively badly. Bike was half totaled. Lesson to be learned: don't ever go on something without a clear mind.
Yeah, and if you're going racing motorcycles at 200 kilometers an hour, keep your work phone off.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, and do you have any advice for your younger self?
Work hard. Stay positive. Don't feel work is work. It's a learning experience. We're privileged in what we do, in that we do help people. We're honoured in that they've respected us enough to give us their matter, which is very important to them. Treat everyone as is with the same level of respect. So throughout my life, my career, I've had certain clients that have come in that you wouldn't expect to be anything, but the way I've treated them has always been the same, and they've turned out to be some of my biggest clients. So have that in mind. Don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah, so always treat everybody with an equal amount of respect. And another question I wanted to ask you as a follow-up from that was, you said to always stay positive. Is there anything you do in particular to keep a positive mindset? Or, if you're having a bad day, is there anything you do to rejig your mindset at all? Or
look, I'm relatively active. The only times I get myself not down, but if I'm not so positive, is if I haven't been to the gym for a week, or if I haven't done my boxing or something like that. So I would say if you stay active in your personal life, as in with some workouts and stuff, the positiveness should stay in.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. I always find weeks where
I see you at the gym all the time.
Yeah, that's funny you say that, because I generally find in my weeks when I do feel like I'm down, I'm like, hang on a second, I haven't been to the gym in like 3 days. Like, let's go smash a workout.
And afterwards, you'll be amazed how positive you feel.
Yeah. So, one of my methods was, because I've had a few times in my life where I've maybe had some down times, and ways I picked myself back up from those was I always had this mindset, do something today that'll make tomorrow a better day. And exercise is something you can always do to guarantee that.
It really is. And no matter what time you go, and I think I often go very late at nights because by the time I finish everything I do, I'm normally at the gym at 10, sometimes 11, sometimes even past midnight before I get to bed. I try to get my workout in every day. And I see you there sometimes at 9 or 10 o'clock.
Yeah. I usually try to go in the morning myself, but sometimes I miss that morning session, and that's where you see me in there at about 9 or 10 o'clock.
My mornings I do my boxing and stuff in the morning, so in the afternoon, and then I do my days, and then nights is at some stage I try to do some weights.
Quick shout out to Doherty's Brunswick. I think it's the best gym I've ever stepped foot in.
It is a very good gym.
What do you think of all the when you
it's
see all
ranked
the?
It's ranked in top 10 in the world.
Yeah, I think the last one I saw it was second to Gold's Gym, the one in Brunswick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. As a pure bodybuilding gym, I think.
Yeah, pure bodybuilding, and there's not many of them around.
Yeah. What I love about it when you walk in there and you see all the bodybuilders on the wall, and if you ever want motivation for one more rep, you just look up and it's like, oh yeah, that guy works his fucking tail off every day. So,
and even some of the people that go there just jacked.
Did you catch Did you see any of the pros around when they had the Arnold going on?
Yeah, they did. I found it humorous because when you go there, they had I'm not sure if you saw it, but some of them had a whole camera crew around them filming them whilst they're having a workout, and it was a bit humorous. Yeah. And some of the girls that go there take more time taking selfies in the mirror than they do a workout.
It's all for the Instagram brand building.
It is. It's a good gym though.
Yeah, I saw Flex Wheeler and Rolly Winkler just standing in the corner. They were kind of secluded as well, just munching down chicken and rice. I was like, damn, they were big. When you see them in person, you see them on stage, you think they're big, but when you see them in person,
it's amazing how much time and effort's gone in there. Potentially other things as well.
Yeah, and. Okay, I guess I'm down here to my final point, which is I wanted to ask you about Build for Kids. You're
a charity.
You're a director of this charity, yes?
We created that charity. A good friend of mine created a charity from scratch. It's an incorporated. So, quick little background. I've kind of always been involved in charities. I've had been involved in various charities, sat on boards of various charities, been involved in fundraisings and gala balls at Crown. We've helped from scratch. The last charity, which I'll remain nameless, I was involved in. I was a board member of a great little charity. They feed 1,000 people a week, homeless people. Certain things happened that we helped. We did a big gala event and they got a lot of money. And then once they got a lot of money, the way it just went with the politics inside the board and what have you it made me just want to step away. And I did step away. And I've seen that a few times. And unfortunately, when it gets to a point in certain charities, the people running the charity are there for their own, I don't want to say purposes. They are helping, and I don't want to necessarily defame anyone, definitely don't. But they're there sometimes for a highlight on their resume or for them to look good amongst their peers.
Not for the purpose.
Yeah, not 100% for the purpose. I don't talk about Build for Kids. I know it's on some of the website material that our marketing people have put. The reason I don't talk about it is because I do it not for that purpose. It's purely for kids. So my mate and I have done a charity it's called Build for Kids. He's a big developer himself, and we've got various ventures together as well. And we basically, the last project we did, we bought a backyard, put a house on it, sold it, and all the profits went to the charity. From that profits now, we're going to be using that to do the idea is to do a ball this year. Balls at Crown or those gala balls are good for brand awareness for the charity. They also do make you money as well, because whatever you're going to be ahead no matter what. And if you do charity items and things like that, you build this awareness for your charity, you make some money on it as well, and then you can move on to the next thing. So that's the next thing for the charity this year, hopefully a little ball.
Okay. So essentially it's about raising profits to then give to the charity. What does the charity do? So
So the charity itself, we haven't gone through. There's two different tax deductions for charity. Deductible gift recipient, which is any donations you make to a charity, is a total deduction, total tax deduction, and then there's a charitable status, so which means it's tax exempt. We don't have the deductible gift recipient status, so what we're going to do with all the money that we raise, we're going to give it to another charity, but not give it to another charity. So for example, go to Children's Hospital and say, what do you need? And they might say, we need this machine. We're going to buy them the machine. So I want to see the end of where our money goes. We don't want to give money to a charity or a purpose. We want to go to a schooling event and go, what do you guys need? A homeless shelter for kids or something like that, and say exactly what they need for. It's got to be benefit for kids. As long as it's a benefit for children, we're going to buy whatever they need effectively and gift it to them.
Okay, so it's nothing with nothing necessarily particularly set in stone or any restrictions. It's, hey, we've raised this money, what can we do for you?
Yep.
A way of being a service. Yeah.
And not necessarily giving him the money. We don't want to ever give another charity money, or the Royal Children's Hospital, for example, give them the money. We'd rather say we need an ultrasound machine and go buy them the ultrasound machine.
Okay, that's powerful. And is there anything a listener can do to support your cause?
When the ball is released, buy tickets.
Okay, when is that ball going to be? Do we have any dates? Or
I believe we've got a company helping us with it. Both me and my friend, the co-founder, a bit busy for our personal life, so they're going to be helping run the event, and they're talking to Crowns for dates. So it'll be the later half of the year.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be fun. They're fun nights too.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's been great. It's been an awesome conversation. I think there's a lot people can take away from this one. Thank you very much. And
it's a pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Zach.